I want to talk to you about Enheduanna, the world's first known named author. The history of literature begins not with anonymous oral traditions or unnamed scribe, but with a remarkable woman, Enheduanna, a Mesopotamian princess, high priestess, and poet. Enheduanna lived in the 23rd century BCE and is credited as the world's first known named author. She composed some of the earliest surviving literary works, including the hymns and poems such as the Exaltation of Inanna. As a daughter of King Sargon of Akkad and the high priestess of the moon god Nanna in she played a pivotal role in both the religious and political landscape of Mesopotamia. Her literary contributions laid the foundation for future poetry, religious hymns, and narrative storytelling. Through her writings, she immortalized not only her own voice, but the spiritual and cultural traditions of her time period. This video will explore her life, the works, and the enduring legacy of this world's first named author. So let's put her in historical context. Enheduanna lived during the Akkadian Empire, circa 2334 to 2154 BCE, and was the daughter of King Sargon of Akkad. The empire is one of the first great Mesopotamian civilizations, unifying the Sumerian city-states under a central government. During this time, writing was transitioning from purely administrative records into more sophisticated forms of expression, including literature and religious texts. Writing in Mesopotamia was done using cuneiform script on clay tablets. This early system of writing, developed by the Sumerians, allowed for the documentation of everything from trade and law to poetry and prayer. Enheduanna utilized the script to craft deeply spiritual and poetic compositions, marking the first time an individual's name was attached to literary works that have been recovered. Enheduanna's life and role as a high priestess. As both a princess and religious leader, Enheduanna held a unique and influential position in Akkadian and Sumerian society. Appointed as high priestess of the moon god Nanna in she was responsible for maintaining the religious and political harmony between the Akkadian rulers and the local Sumerian population. This role placed her at the intersection of governance as well as divine worship, where her words carried both spiritual and authoritative power. Her tenure as high priestess was not without challenges. At one point, she was exiled during a political upheaval, but later restored to her position. In her writings, she speaks of personal struggles and divine intervention, offering a rare and deeply personal perspective of the trials of this high-ranking woman in the ancient world. Through her poetry, she expressed not only the devotion to the gods, but also to her own experiences of faith, exile, and redemption. Looking at her literary contributions and major works. Enheduanna's most famous work is the Exaltation of Inanna, a hymn dedicated to the goddess Inanna, who was associated with love, war, and political power. This poem is remarkable, not only for its literary quality, but also for its personal and theological depth. In it, Enheduanna praises Inanna's strength and divine authority, portraying her as a powerful goddess who aids in the restoration of order. The poem also includes references to Enheduanna's personal struggles, making it one of the earliest known instances of autobiographical writing. In addition to the Exaltation of Inanna, Enheduanna composed numerous temple hymns, which were recited as part of religious rituals. These hymns, often dedicated to various deities, were written with both devotion and political purpose in mind. By aligning the Akkadian rulers with the Sumerian gods, her hymns helped solidify the empire's religious legitimacy. Her literary style is characterized by elaborate metaphors, vivid imagery, and an intricate understanding of religious doctrine. She was a master of poetic parallelism, a technique that uses repetition and contrast to create emphasis, a style that influenced later Mesopotamian and biblical poetry. What was the significance of her writing? Well, Enheduanna's works stand out not only because of their historical precedence, but also due to their literary and theological significance. As the first recorded author, she provides modern scholars with invaluable insights into the role of women in ancient traditional religious life, the literary traditions of Mesopotamia, as well with the ways in which literature was used during the time period to assert political and divine authority. Her writings also reveal a sophisticated understanding of personal voice in literature. Unlike earlier texts, which were anonymous that focused primarily on the deeds of rulers or gods, Enheduanna's poetry includes personal elements, her struggles, her faith, her triumphs. This innovation laid the groundwork for future writers who sought to merge personal experience with universal themes. Additionally, her hymns played a crucial role in shaping Mesopotamian religious traditions. By standardizing and spreading religious texts, she helped to unify worship practices across the empire. Her influence can be seen in later religious literature, including some biblical psalms and other ancient Near Eastern poetic traditions. In terms of legacy and influence, despite the passage of several millennia, Enheduanna's legacy does still endure. It might have been lost for a while, but it is now currently in the public consciousness. She's been studied for centuries after her death, influencing later Sumerian and Akkadian religious poetry. The discovery of her writings in the 20th century confirmed her historical role as the first named author in recorded history. Modern scholars recognize Enheduanna not only as a poet and not only as a high priestess, but also as a pioneer of written expression. Her contributions challenged the traditional narrative that literature began with Greek and Roman poets, instead shifting the focus back to Mesopotamia as the true cradle of written storytelling. Furthermore, Enheduanna serves as an important figure in discussions about women's roles in ancient societies. Her prominence in both political and religious spheres demonstrates that women in early civilizations could, in fact, hold significant intellectual and spiritual authority. Her works provide an early example of a woman using literature to assert power and articulate personal and communal experiences. So let's wrap up and conclude. Enheduanna, the world's first known author, occupies a very unique and essential place in literary and historical discourse. As a high priestess, poet, and daughter of an empire builder, she shaped the religious and literary traditions of her time. Her hymns and poems, particularly the exaltation of Nanna, set a precedent for autobiographical and theological writing. Through her writings, she asserted not only the power of the gods, but also her own personal struggle, resilience, and intellect. Her legacy lives on as inspiration for writers, historians, and those who seek to understand the origins of literature. More than 4,000 years after her time, Enheduanna remains a testament to the enduring power of the written word and to the remarkable contributions of women to the intellectual history of humanity itself. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.